see. We're going to move on to the next question. If you're not familiar, I have a podcast called the Youth Ministry in Motion Podcast, and it is, according to the algorithm, the #1 youth ministry podcast. It's not the most highly recommended. It is not everyone's most favorite podcast, but the algorithm says it's #1 according to my data. And so if you have not listened to the #1 youth ministry podcast, you should. And I'm going to put links down below. You can find that on Spotify and iTunes and wherever podcasts are listened to, really. I mean, I'm giving you those two because those are the main ones, but you can find it. If you just Google Youth Ministry in Motion Podcast, Paul Turner, you're going to find it. Over 255 episodes currently. 255 episodes. So check it out. Listen when you can. Subscribe and all that good stuff, and leave comments and things, and 5 stars and nice things like that. Let's go on to the second question. Second question is, what should I do if my pastor wants to add responsibilities to my job that were not agreed upon when I was hired? I love this question. I love it because it is time for the youth pastor, organizations that want you to do 10 different things. I think that has to be negotiated. I think the era is over of buy 1, get 3 free. I'm going to hire you for one job, and then I'm going to give you 3 others. Everything is negotiable. I would negotiate salary. You say, Paul, what if I get fired? Well, what would you like? Would you like 4 extra jobs? Or would you like to go to a church that wants to hire you to do 1 job? And I know we need to be giving and loving and kind and all the things that Christians should be. But the issue isn't about being all that. The issue is about what is the church trying to get from you that it doesn't want to pay for? That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying you're allowed, youth pastor, you're allowed to negotiate. You're allowed to say, oh, you'd like me to do children's ministry too? Good. Let's talk about how much extra you're going to pay me to do that, because I'm not doing it for free. Say, Paul, can you do that? Yes. Yes, you can. Just like you would at any other job. If you were the guy who manages, I worked in a delivery. I did truck deliveries of air conditioning supplies. And if he had come to me and says, Paul, I need you to organize the warehouse and drive the truck. Well, guess what? Now we're talking about 2 separate jobs. That's 2 separate things. And I'm not going to do those 2 jobs for one price. That's just not going to happen. And so in the church, you're not going to do anything well anyway. If you're doing 2 jobs, you probably, unless you have a lot of help, probably can't do both of them very well anyway. So I would negotiate what you're paid. If you're going to add another responsibility to you, negotiate. Yeah, I hear you, Nathan. Other assigned duties? Yeah. I don't. I would not recommend signing any contracts, Nathan, because if it says that at the bottom, I am in disagreement with that, because that is just a license for abuse at that point. Other assigned duties. Yeah, I'm just going to give you whatever I want, and you don't have anything to say about it. And I'll pay you whatever I want. In fact, I'll pay you less, maybe. I'll just change your salary altogether. And I understand that. I do. But I am of a time and an age where I'm just not going to do it. And I think that is a very good, Nathan, that's a good point to make, because I think that has to be negotiated upon hiring. So they know what they're getting and you know what you're getting. The question should be in your interview, listen, if something happens and I am asked to take on another role or responsibility, is there more pay involved for doing that responsibility? I think it's a fair question. And if in that meeting, part of what they say is, oh yeah, we'll compensate you for the extra job or the extra role, then okay, you can hold them to that. But I'm tired of guys and girls getting burnt out because they're doing 3-4 jobs that the church is unwilling to pay them for. This is contributing to the burnout, folks. Multiple jobs without multiple monies. And people are getting burned out because they're doing 5 things. And then the guilt is held over that youth pastor because, well, it's for the kingdom, brother. Really? Whose kingdom? God's kingdom? Or the church's kingdom? Listen, folks. Let's be smart out there. Youth pastors, let's be smart out there. Let's negotiate. If you want to give me another job, another role, another responsibility, I'm not talking about taking out the trash. I'm talking about careers. I'm talking about a whole nother job that requires organization, leadership, skills, abilities, budgets, all the things. I'm not talking about, hey, would you drive the bus for the seniors once a month? We're not talking about that. We're talking about entirely different things that you may not even be qualified for. Who knows? So I'm going to say, what should I do if my pastor wants to add responsibilities to my job that were not agreed upon when I was hired? Negotiate. Then we find out how valuable you are. It's simple as that. We find out how much they think of you. We find out how much they want to keep you around. We find out the motives behind these things. Just like, and it's a whole other subject, but when pastors want to hire husband and wife and have the wife do a separate job she's not getting paid for, nah. No, sir. No more of that. We're going to be responsible in the church. We have to be responsible people, responsible to our staffs, responsible to the people we hire. Let's be responsible, church.